The poor Apache widow tried to steal the sheriff's horse, but the sheriff didn't harm her instead. The small town lay quiet under the hot sun, with wooden buildings casting long shadows over dusty streets. The wind carried a dry, earthy scent, rustling the tumbleweeds that rolled lazily across the town square. In this quiet frontier town, life was simple, but it was not always kind. Among the town's residents lived a woman named Maya, a poor Apache widow whose life had become a constant struggle after losing her husband. She lived in a small, fragile shelter on the edge of town, a home that barely protected her children from the harsh weather. The walls were patched with old boards, and the roof leaked whenever the sky threatened rain. Inside, the house was dim, with only a few pieces of worn furniture and a small fireplace that she used sparingly. Despite her situation, Maya carried herself with quiet dignity, her eyes reflecting strength born from hardship. Her husband had passed away only a few years earlier. He had been a kind and hard-working man who loved his family deeply, but sickness had claimed him quickly, leaving Maya to care for their 3 children alone. Life had never been easy, but losing him had brought a new kind of hardship. Every day she had to face the challenge of providing food, shelter, and safety for her children. Sometimes she would walk to the edge of the nearby woods to gather firewood or small herbs, but the land offered little, and the few coins she had left were often spent on essentials. Food was always scarce, and she feared the children would go hungry. Their stomachs growled more than once each day, reminding her of the harshness of life. Despite her hardships, Maya refused to give up. She rose before dawn each morning, hoping to find small jobs in the town. She would offer to help the townspeople with chores like washing clothes, fetching water, or tending small gardens. Often, the work paid little or nothing, and she had to carry what she could back to her children, sometimes returning home empty-handed. But she kept trying because her children's needs were her priority. She wanted them to grow up safe and healthy, even if it meant she went without. Her children, though young, understood their mother's struggles. Her eldest, a boy named Tobin, was 10, wise beyond his years, often helping his mother gather firewood or look after his younger siblings. The middle child, Lila, was 8, with a quiet curiosity about the world. She loved to watch the birds and imagine stories about them. The youngest, little Asha, was only 4, too small to help much, but her innocent smile gave Maya hope and comfort during the darkest days. Each child carried the signs of hunger and hardship, yet their mother's love made them resilient. Maya often whispered encouragement to them at night, telling them stories of courage and survival, hoping to keep their spirits strong even when life was unkind. One day, as Maya walked through the town, she watched merchants unloading goods from wagons, their voices lively as they shouted prices to attract customers. People moved quickly along the streets, some carrying baskets of vegetables, others leading animals. Baya's heart ached as she passed them, knowing that her children had eaten only a small piece of bread that morning. She wished she could buy some fresh food, but her coins were almost gone. Even simple vegetables seemed like a luxury she could not afford. Hunger had become a constant companion, shadowing every step she took. She longed to provide a proper meal for her children, something warm and filling, but each day brought the same frustration.
Maya knew that the town sheriff, James Carter, was a man respected by everyone.
His presence kept the town peaceful, and people trusted him to uphold the law fairly. She had seen him walking through the streets greeting townspeople with a kind smile and checking that everything was in order. Sheriff Carter was known for being strict but also compassionate when he saw genuine need. Maya had never interacted with him personally, but she had heard stories of his fairness. It was partly this reputation that made her heart pound when she considered a plan she would never have dreamed of under normal circumstances. That night the sky was dark, with only a thin crescent moon casting a faint glow on the streets. Maya sat quietly with her children huddled around her, their small bodies shivering from hunger and cold. She held little Asha in her arms, brushing the child's hair back and whispering gentle words to calm her. Narration. Tobin and Lila sat close by, their eyes wide as they watched their mother's worried face. Maya had spent hours thinking about what she could do to feed her family. Narration. She knew that begging in town often brought only small coins and that many people were busy or indifferent. She had no relatives to turn to, no neighbors willing to help consistently. Desperation. Her options were dwindling, and desperation gnawed at her heart. As she thought, an idea began to take shape, one that made her stomach twist with fear and guilt. There was a stable in town, owned by Sheriff Carter, where he kept a strong, healthy horse. If she could borrow the horse just long enough to reach a nearby settlement and trade for food or supplies, she might be able to feed her children for a few days. Desperation. The thought terrified her. She had never stolen anything in her life. Desperation. Taking the horse felt like a crime, yet she felt cornered by necessity. She whispered to herself, trying to reason with her conscience.
I will only take it for a little while.
I will bring it back. I have no choice. The words offered little comfort, but they strengthened her resolve. The next morning, Maya prepared herself for the difficult task. She dressed quietly, making sure her children remained asleep. Her hands shook slightly as she gathered what little she would take with her. Some old blankets, a small satchel, and a bit of water. She wanted to be ready for anything, and hoped that no one would notice her leaving. The thought of being caught filled her with dread, yet hunger left her with little alternative. Bed. She whispered encouragement to herself, repeating that it was only for survival, and that she must protect her children at all costs.
As she approached the stable that night, Maya felt her heart pound in her chest.
The moonlight cast long shadows over the ground, and the silence of the town made her every step seem louder. She moved cautiously, hoping not to disturb anyone. The sheriff's horse stood there, strong and proud, its coat shining faintly in the moonlight. Maya felt a pang of admiration for the animal, recognizing its beauty and the care it must have received. She whispered apologies to the horse, feeling guilty for what she was about to do.
Yet, she told herself it was not theft but a desperate act of survival.
Maya reached for the horse's reins, her hands trembling. The animal shifted, sensing her fear and hesitating. She took a deep breath, whispering again to the horse to calm it. She knew she needed to be quick, yet careful. Every moment felt like an eternity as she gently led the horse toward the edge of town. Her heart raced, not only from fear of being caught, but also from the weight of her responsibility. The children's hunger pressed on her mind like a heavy stone. She had never felt so anxious yet so determined. Survival demanded courage, and she found it deep within herself, even as doubt gnawed at her resolve. As she moved forward, a shadow fell across the ground. Sheriff Carter had arrived silently, as he often did during his nightly patrols. He stopped a few steps away, his eyes calm but firm. Maya froze, unsure of what to do, her heart hammering against her chest. She expected anger, punishment, or at least harsh words. Yet, as she looked into the sheriff's eyes, she saw something unexpected: understanding. He did not immediately accuse her, nor did he raise his voice. Instead, he observed quietly, waiting to see what she would do next. Maya's fear mingled with hope. Could it be possible that he would understand her desperation? And in that moment, Maya realized that her life, her choices, and her survival were all about to intersect with the character of a man she had only heard about in stories. The night air grew heavier, the sounds of the town distant, and Maya stood frozen, knowing that the next few moments would determine the path of her family's life. For the first time in a long while, she felt a mixture of fear and hope, realizing that kindness, even in unexpected places, could still exist in the harshness of the frontier. Maya's hands were shaking as she clutched the reins of the sheriff's horse. The animal's ears twitched, sensing her nervous energy, and it shifted slightly, snorting. She whispered soft words to calm it, but her own heart seemed louder than anything else in the quiet night. Narration. Every sound, the creak of a board, the distant bark of a dog, even the wind through the trees, made her jump. She felt trapped between the need to act and the fear of being caught. Her mind raced. She told herself, just a little further. Just enough to get food for the children. The words repeated over and over like a mantra, but they offered only small comfort. Sheriff Carter remained a few steps behind, his shadow long in the moonlight. He did not rush or yell. Narration. He simply watched, quiet and calm, as if he were waiting for her to explain herself. Maya could barely believe that he had not already drawn his weapon or shouted at her. She had always imagined that anyone in the town, especially the sheriff, would punish her immediately. Narration. And yet here he was, silent, almost patient. The sight of him made her stomach tighten with guilt.
How could a man be so calm when I am committing a crime in front of him? She thought.
She realized that this calmness was almost more frightening than anger because it forced her to confront her own desperation without distraction. For a few moments she froze, unable to move the horse. The horse shifted again, nudging her gently with its head, as though asking her to make a decision. Maya whispered, I just need a little help. For my children. But her voice was barely audible. She felt tears welling in her eyes. The shame of attempting to steal, mixed with the fear of being caught, pressed heavily on her chest. She thought of her children back at the small, crumbling shelter. She thought of their hungry faces and how much they had already suffered. She told herself again, I have no choice. I must do this. Sheriff Carter stepped closer, his boots making soft sounds on the dirt. His eyes met hers, calm but steady, and he spoke softly. Why are you trying to take my horse? His voice was not angry, but it carried a gentle authority that made Maya flinch. Wanted to hide, to run, to disappear, but she couldn't. She could not lie to him, not with the children depending on her. So she told the truth, her voice trembling. He glances in a world.
I only wanted to take the horse to trade for food, just enough to feed them. The sheriff listened quietly, without interrupting.
His expression remained unreadable, but Maya thought she saw a flicker of understanding. He did not shout, he did not call for help, and he did not accuse her. Instead, he waited patiently, allowing her to explain the full story. She told him about her husband's death, the struggles to find work, and the long days of watching her children go hungry. Every word left her feeling more vulnerable, but also more relieved. For the first time, she felt that someone might understand her situation. The sheriff finally nodded slowly. I see, he said simply. His calm tone made Maya's heart pound even faster, because she could not tell what he would do next. Would he punish her? Would he turn her in to the townspeople? She could not know, but the way he stood there, watching without anger, gave her a strange hope. She felt as if she were a small, fragile bird being held in a strong but gentle hand. Brr. She wanted to shrink away, but at the same time she felt an unexpected trust forming. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away. Brr. She could not cry in front of him, not with the shame and fear pressing so heavily on her. She whispered, almost to herself,
I just want to feed my children.
Brr.
That is all. I will return the horse. I promise.
Desperation.
I swear it!
Her voice was soft, trembling, but honest. Brr. The sincerity of her words seemed to reach the sheriff. He remained silent for a moment, thinking, and Maya held her breath. Desperation. Finally, the sheriff spoke again. I can see you're desperate, he said quietly. Brr. But stealing is not the answer. There are other ways to get help, Bruce. Maya shook her head quickly. I have tried. I have worked. I have begged, and there is nothing left. I don't know what else to do, she said, her voice breaking. She felt a mix of shame and relief in telling him everything. It was terrifying to be so exposed, but at the same time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, someone would help her. Bear. The sheriff looked at her with thoughtful eyes, then glanced at the horse. He understood the strength of her need, and he also understood the courage it took to admit her desperation for it. His mind weighed the situation carefully. He could see that Maya was not a thief by nature, but a mother pushed to the edge by circumstance. The sheriff had always believed in justice, yes, but he also believed in mercy. And mercy, he realized, was needed in this moment more than punishment. I will not harm you, he said finally.
I will not call anyone, but you must promise me something. Maya's heart leapt.
Anything, she whispered. Anything, I promise. You will not try to take the horse again, he said firmly.
Instead, I will help you get food for your children. Maya could hardly believe her ears. Relief, gratitude, and disbelief washed over her.
She wanted to fall to her knees and thank him, but she steadied herself, not wanting to appear weak. The sheriff led her carefully back toward the town, keeping a gentle hand near the horse to guide it. There is a small market a few miles from here, he explained. I will give you some coins to buy food, and you may take the horse there and back. No one will interfere, but this is a one-time thing. You must find other ways after this.
Maya nodded quickly, tears streaming down her face.
She could not speak, overwhelmed by relief and gratitude. The sheriff gave her a small pouch of coins, enough to buy food for several days. For the first time in months, she felt hope instead of fear. The journey to the market was slow but steady. Maya walked beside the horse, her hand lightly resting on its mane. She thought of her children waiting at home, imagining their surprised and happy faces when she returned with food.
Each step strengthened her resolve. She realized that desperation had pushed her to a dangerous place, but the sheriff's kindness had turned that danger into opportunity.
She also felt a deep respect for the man, understanding that not everyone would have shown mercy in the same situation. When they reached the market, the sheriff ensured that the townspeople there would not question her or interfere. He introduced her quietly to a few shopkeepers, explaining briefly that she was in need. Maya's eyes widened in surprise as the merchants offered her vegetables, bread, and other essentials, often at lower prices or on credit. She could hardly believe the generosity she was witnessing. It was a small act, but it meant the world to her and her children. She bought as much as she could carry, grateful beyond words. On the way back, Maya felt a mix of exhaustion and joy. She had food, and she had the chance to feed her children without fear of punishment. Brr. The horse walked calmly beside her, as if understanding the importance of the task. The sheriff accompanied her part of the way, offering advice and encouragement. He told her how to earn small amounts of money legally, and reminded her that help could often be found if she asked for it honestly. Maya listened intently, realizing that she had learned a valuable lesson about trust and human kindness. By the time she returned home, the sun was beginning to rise, casting a warm glow over the dusty streets. Her children ran toward her, their eyes wide with curiosity and hope. Maya set down the bags of food, and their faces lit up with joy. Tobin and Lila rushed to help her carry the supplies inside, while little Asha hugged her tightly, giggling with relief. Maya felt tears of happiness and gratitude fall freely. The night's events had been terrifying, yes, but they had also shown her the power of honesty, courage, and the unexpected kindness of another human being. That night, as the children ate a warm meal for the first time in days, Maya sat quietly, reflecting on everything that had happened. She thought about the risk she had taken, the fear she had felt, and the mercy the sheriff had shown her. She realized that desperation can make people do things they never imagined, but also that compassion can transform lives in ways that punishment never could. She whispered quietly to her children, telling them that they were safe, and that kindness existed even in the hardest of times. For Maya, this night marked not just the feeding of her children, but the beginning of hope, a hope that she had thought was lost forever.
After the tense night with the sheriff, Maya returned home with the food she had purchased. Her children crowded around her, their small hands reaching for the fresh bread, fruits, and vegetables.
Their laughter and excitement filled the tiny, dim house, and for the first time in many days, Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She watched them eat with grateful eyes, their cheeks rosy from the warmth of the simple meal. In that moment, she realized how close she had come to losing hope entirely, and how one act of kindness could change the course of a family's life. The sheriff had not only prevented her from getting into serious trouble, but he had also given her a chance to survive with dignity. The next morning, Maya sat outside her shelter, watching the children play in the dirt, their smiles bright against the hardships they had faced. She thought about Sheriff Carter's calm words the previous night, about how he had understood her desperation and offered her guidance instead of punishment. It was rare to find such understanding in the world, and she knew it was a gift she could not take lightly. She wanted to do more than simply survive. She wanted to honor the sheriff's trust in her by finding a better way to care for her children. With the morning sun rising higher, Maya decided to visit the sheriff in person. She wanted to thank him properly and to discuss how she could earn a steady income for her family. The town was slowly coming to life as she walked through its dusty streets. Merchants were arranging their goods, children ran past with laughter in the air, and neighbors greeted each other warmly. Maya felt a mixture of nervousness and hope.
She had never approached the sheriff directly before, and the thought made her heart race, yet she knew she had to try.
She had already seen his mercy, and now she hoped to see his guidance. When she reached the sheriff's office, Maya paused outside the door, taking a deep breath to steady herself. She knocked lightly, and a moment later Sheriff Carter opened the door. He greeted her with a calm smile, as if he had been expecting her. "Good morning, Maya," he said warmly. "Come in." Maya stepped inside, her eyes taking in the simple office. Maps hung on the walls, a wooden desk held a few papers, and a small pot of coffee simmered on the stove in the corner. It was modest, like everything else in the town, but it carried a sense of order and care. "I wanted to thank you," Maya began, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest, "for helping us, for letting me buy food, and for trusting me." The sheriff nodded, listening attentively. "You did the right thing by coming to me," he said.
I could see that your heart was in the right place.
Operation. You only wanted to provide for your children, and that is honorable.
Maya felt a surge of relief.
Operation. She had feared scolding or distrust, yet he offered encouragement and understanding instead. Sheriff Carter leaned back slightly in his chair, thinking for a moment. Operation. I also want to help you find a way to earn steady income, he said. Hunger should not force anyone into desperate actions. Operation.
There are jobs in town. Small jobs, but they can help you provide for your family without fear. Are you willing to try? Maya nodded quickly, grateful for the chance. Yes, Sheriff.
I will do anything. I just want to care for my children honestly.
Over the next few days, the sheriff introduced Maya to several townspeople who needed help with chores. She washed clothes, tended gardens, and prepared small meals for families who were too busy to manage on their own.
The work was hard, but it was honest, and it gave her a sense of purpose she had not felt in months.
For the first time, she could see a path forward that did not involve fear or desperation.
Each coin she earned went directly to her children, and she carefully saved what remained for future needs. Maya's pride grew alongside her relief, and she began to feel that life might improve despite the hardships she had faced. Word of the sheriff's mercy spread through the town, and soon others began offering small acts of kindness to Maya and her children. Operation. Some merchants provided extra food at no cost. Neighbors offered firewood, and children in the town shared small games and stories with Tobin, Lila, and little Asha.
Maya was deeply touched by the generosity and realized that the sheriff's example had inspired others.
Operation. Compassion had a ripple effect, and her family was experiencing it firsthand. The town, once distant and indifferent, was becoming a community that looked out for one another. One afternoon, as Maya worked in a small garden for a kind elderly woman, Sheriff Carter stopped by. He watched her for a moment, noting the careful way she planted seeds and tended the soil. Operation. You have a gift, he said quietly. You care deeply for your family, and you work hard. That will carry you far. Maya smiled, a mixture of gratitude and humility. I only want to do my best, she replied softly. My children deserve a life better than what we've had. The sheriff nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Maya's children noticed the change as well. Tobin proudly helped his mother with small chores, feeling a sense of responsibility and pride. Lila began exploring ways to help with the garden, eager to contribute, while little Asha played nearby, her laughter a reminder of innocence and hope. The family, once bound by fear and desperation, began to feel a new bond formed through honesty, work, and the guidance of a man who chose mercy over punishment. Maya often whispered to her children at night, telling them the story of the sheriff's kindness and how it had changed their lives. She wanted them to learn that integrity and compassion were as important as survival. Weeks passed, and Maya's life became more stable. She no longer feared empty cupboards or nights spent worrying about her children's hunger. She had work, she had support, and she had hope. Yet she never forgot the night she had tried to take the sheriff's horse, nor the calm, understanding look he had given her. That night remained a turning point, a moment when desperation met compassion, and one act of mercy created the possibility of a better life. Maya realized that even in the hardest moments, kindness could appear in unexpected ways, offering a chance for change and growth. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in warm shades of orange and pink, Maya sat outside with her children. She looked at Tobin, Lila, and Asha playing near the small garden she tended, feeling a deep sense of peace. Her heart was full, not just with relief from hunger, but with gratitude for the sheriff's understanding and the kindness of the townspeople. Life was still hard, yes, but it was no longer hopeless. Maya had learned that courage, honesty, and a willingness to accept help could transform even the most difficult situations. The sheriff visited her occasionally, checking on her family and offering guidance. Inspiration. He never demanded repayment, only respect for the trust he had shown. Maya honored that trust with all her heart. She worked diligently, cared for her children, and shared her experiences with neighbors and friends who faced similar struggles.
Slowly, the once isolated widow became an active, respected member of the community.
Her courage and perseverance inspired others, showing that even in times of great difficulty, honesty and hard work could create a path toward hope. Maya also began teaching her children the importance of integrity and compassion. She told them stories of how kindness could come from unexpected places and how even small actions could make a significant difference in someone's life. Tobin, Lila, and Asha listened attentively, their eyes wide with understanding. They learned that desperation might test them, but honesty, courage, and empathy would guide them through any challenge. The sheriff's act of mercy became a lesson not only for Maya but for her children as well, a lesson they would carry into adulthood. Through it all, Maya never forgot the moment when she stood at the stable, trembling with fear, trying to take the sheriff's horse. That night could have led to punishment, shame, or worse, yet it had led to hope, opportunity, and a renewed sense of life. Maya reflected often on the difference one person's compassion could make and resolved to offer kindness to others whenever she could. She understood deeply that mercy was not weakness but strength, the strength to see beyond anger and fear to the humanity in every person. Life for Maya and her children was slowly improving, but it was not without challenges. Even with the help of Sheriff Carter and the townspeople, the frontier was a harsh and unpredictable place. There were days when the sun scorched the dusty streets, making every chore exhausting. There were nights when the cold wind blew through the cracks of their small shelter, leaving the children shivering despite the blankets Maya had carefully tucked around them. Hunger was not always a threat now, but uncertainty and fatigue tested her resolve. Every day was a lesson in patience, endurance, and creativity. Maya worked tirelessly from dawn to dusk. She would start her mornings fetching water from the town well, a long walk under the hot sun that left her arms sore and her throat dry. She carried heavy buckets back to her shelter, careful not to spill a single drop. Then she tended small gardens for the townspeople, planting seeds, weeding, and watering, often under the watchful eyes of neighbors who appreciated her hard work. She mended clothes, washed laundry, and even helped prepare meals for families who had no time to manage on their own. Each task, though exhausting, brought a small reward, a few coins, or a warm smile, and she reminded herself that every bit of effort was for her children's well-being. Her children, though still young, had begun helping her in small ways. Tobin carried firewood, Lila helped water the small garden near their shelter, and even little Asha gathered small sticks to feed the fireplace. The family had become a team, working together to survive and thrive. Maya often paused to watch her children, a mix of pride and concern filling her heart. They were resilient and strong, but she knew they still needed guidance and protection. She whispered words of encouragement to them, teaching them lessons about responsibility, honesty, and kindness. She wanted them to grow up not only surviving but understanding the value of integrity and hard work. Despite her growing stability, Maya faced unexpected challenges. One afternoon, a sudden storm rolled over the town, dark clouds filled the sky, and heavy rain fell, turning the streets into mud. The small shelter Maya lived in began to leak, and she rushed to protect her children. Tobin and Lila helped her move blankets and belongings to safer spots, but some of their precious food supplies were soaked or ruined. Maya felt frustration and worry rising in her chest. She had worked so hard to provide for them, and now nature threatened to undo it all. Yet she refused to give in to despair. quickly set to work, covering the roof with tarps and gathering what remained dry. She reminded herself that even the hardest storms eventually passed, and she must remain strong for her children. Narration. In the days that followed, Maya encountered other challenges as well. Some townspeople were kind, but others looked at her and her children with suspicion, whispering about the night she had tried to take the sheriff's horse. Though Sheriff Carter had protected her from punishment, rumors still lingered. Maya felt a pang of hurt each time she overheard someone questioning her character.
She had done what she thought necessary to survive, yet she knew public opinion was hard to change. Despite this, she refused to allow gossip to weigh her down.
Bear. She continued her work quietly and diligently, letting her actions speak louder than words. Over time, the townspeople began to see her dedication and honesty, and respect slowly replaced suspicion. Maya also faced internal struggles. There were moments when fear and doubt crept into her mind. What if she failed? What if illness struck one of her children?
What if the work she did was not enough? These thoughts would sometimes keep her awake at night, her hands trembling as she whispered quiet prayers for strength.
She found solace in small routines, preparing food for her children, tending the garden, and reflecting on Sheriff Carter's words of encouragement. She reminded herself that she had already faced the hardest moments and survived. Each day brought new challenges, but also opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. The sheriff remained a quiet but consistent support in her life. He would stop by occasionally, offering advice, encouragement, or a kind word. He never demanded repayment, never judged her for her past desperation. Instead, he provided guidance that helped Maya navigate the small but important complexities of life in the frontier town. He showed her where she could find work, introduced her to helpful townspeople, and reminded her to take care of herself while caring for her children. His consistent presence became a source of comfort, a reminder that even in a difficult world, kindness could endure. As time passed, Maya began to notice changes in herself. She grew stronger physically from the hard labor and more confident in her ability to provide for her family. She learned to plan ahead, store food carefully, and manage her limited resources efficiently. She also grew in patience, understanding that progress often came slowly and setbacks were part of life. She discovered a quiet joy in small victories, a full meal for her children, a healthy garden, or a kind word from a neighbor. These moments reminded her that life, though difficult, could also hold beauty and hope. Maya also began forming friendships with other women in the town. Some were widows like her, struggling to care for their families, while others were mothers with busy households. They shared advice, offered help, and provided companionship in a world that could sometimes feel isolating. Maya found comfort in their presence, realizing that support could be found in community, not just from one person. Together, they learned to navigate the challenges of frontier life, celebrating small victories and offering encouragement during setbacks.
Maya often reflected on how different her life felt compared to the first days of desperation, recognizing the power of connection and shared effort.
One of the most important lessons Maya learned during this period was the value of patience and perseverance. Life did not improve overnight. There were still hard days, times when the children were tired or hungry, and moments when Maya felt overwhelmed, but she learned to face each challenge with determination and calm. She reminded herself that each small action, watering the garden, washing clothes, preparing a meal, was part of a larger effort to build a better life.
Over time, these small actions accumulated, creating stability and hope for the future.
Maya's children continued to thrive as well. Tobin grew more responsible, learning to help without being asked and taking pride in his contributions. Lila developed a curiosity about the world, asking questions about plants, animals, and the people around her. Little Asha brought laughter and light to the household, her innocent joy reminding Maya why she worked so hard each day. Together, they formed a resilient and loving family unit, bound by shared struggles, mutual care, and the small victories that marked each day. Despite the hardships, Maya never lost her sense of gratitude. Brr. She often reflected on the night she had tried to take the sheriff's horse and the mercy he had shown her. That moment had been a turning point, teaching her the value of honesty, courage, and compassion. She understood that life could be harsh and unpredictable, but she also saw that small acts of kindness could create opportunities and hope. This understanding shaped her actions every day, guiding her to act with integrity and empathy in every situation. Even as challenges continued to arise, Maya faced them with strength and determination. She repaired the shelter when storms damaged it, sought additional work when food was scarce, and ensured her children were safe and well cared for. She had learned to balance fear with hope, work with rest, and caution with trust. Each day was an opportunity to grow, and she embraced it fully, knowing that her efforts were shaping not only her present but also the future of her children.
Through all these experiences, Maya's life slowly transformed.
From a desperate widow on the brink of despair, she became a resilient and capable mother, respected by those who once doubted her.
Her family thrived, her children learned valuable lessons about courage and responsibility, and her community began to recognize her honesty and dedication. The journey was not easy, but every challenge she faced strengthened her resolve and deepened her understanding of life. Maya had become a symbol of perseverance, showing that even in the most difficult circumstances, hope, hard work, and kindness could make a profound difference. By the time the months had passed, Maya could see the fruits of her labor. The small garden outside their shelter was thriving. The children were healthy and happy, and the family had enough to eat each day. The shelter had been repaired and fortified against storms. Maya's heart was lighter, and her mind more at ease. Yet she never forgot the lessons of hardship, the importance of resilience, honesty, and compassion.
She carried them forward in every action, teaching her children to do the same. And so, life continued in the small town.
Maya faced struggles, yes, but she also experienced growth, strength, and the quiet satisfaction that comes from overcoming challenges. She had learned that even in a world filled with difficulty, perseverance and kindness could create opportunities for survival, growth, and happiness. Each day brought new challenges, but also new hope, and Maya faced them with courage, determination, and an unwavering love for her children. By the time the seasons had shifted, Maya's life had changed in ways she had never imagined. What had begun as a desperate struggle for survival had transformed into a steady, meaningful life for her and her children. The small, fragile shelter on the edge of town now had a solid roof, and the walls were reinforced to protect against rain and wind. The garden outside her home flourished with vegetables and herbs, a testament to her careful work and the support she had received from the townspeople. Maya looked at her children playing near the garden, their laughter filling the air, and she felt a deep, quiet joy. Life was still hard, as the frontier always demanded effort and resilience, but it was no longer a constant fight against despair. The sheriff remained a steady presence in their lives, not as an authority figure to fear, but as a mentor and friend. Sheriff Carter would stop by occasionally, sharing advice on small jobs, providing guidance for earning money, or simply offering words of encouragement. He never demanded repayment, nor did he expect loyalty beyond honesty and respect. His acts of kindness had become the foundation on which Maya had rebuilt her family's life.
She reflected often on the night she had tried to take his horse, and she felt gratitude that went beyond words.
That single moment, when he had chosen mercy over punishment, had set her family on a new path, one that led to safety, stability, and hope. Maya's children thrived in this new environment. Tobin, now slightly taller and more responsible than before, took pride in helping his mother and managing small tasks around their home.
He had learned early on the value of hard work, responsibility, and honesty.
Breath. Lila, with her quiet curiosity, spent hours observing plants in the garden, learning how to care for them and understanding the cycles of growth. She began helping neighbors with small tasks, enjoying the feeling of contributing to the community. Little Asha, though still young, brought laughter and light to the household, her cheerful disposition reminding Maya of the importance of joy, even amid challenges. The children's growth reflected not only Maya's care, but also the lessons they had learned about perseverance, integrity, and gratitude. The town itself had also changed in subtle ways. Word of Sheriff Carter's compassion spread, and it inspired others to act with kindness and fairness. The townspeople, who had once viewed Maya and her children with curiosity or doubt, now regarded them with respect and warmth. Neighbors offered small gestures of help, whether it was sharing extra food, lending tools for the garden, or simply offering words of encouragement. The sense of community had grown, fueled by one act of mercy that had shown everyone that understanding and compassion could transform lives. Maya often marveled at this change, recognizing that kindness had a ripple effect far greater than she had ever imagined. Maya herself had grown into a strong, confident, and resourceful woman. The hardship she had faced had taught her patience, creativity, and resilience. She had learned to plan ahead, anticipate challenges, and navigate difficult situations without panic. Yet she remained humble, understanding that the support of others had played a crucial role in her family's survival.
She often reflected on the lessons she wanted to pass on to her children: courage in the face of fear, honesty in all actions, and the importance of offering kindness whenever possible.
Her own experiences had taught her that strength was not just physical, but also moral and emotional. One day, as she was tending the garden, Sheriff Carter arrived with a few townspeople carrying sacks of supplies. They had come to check on her family, but also to offer assistance in planting new crops and improving the shelter. Maya felt a deep sense of gratitude as she welcomed them.
"You didn't have to do this,"
she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. Sheriff Carter smiled. "We wanted to help," he replied. "You've worked hard, and you deserve it."
Sometimes people just need a chance. Maya nodded, understanding that the sheriff's belief in giving people a chance had made all the difference.
The group worked together, laughing and sharing stories. And for Maya, the sense of community and belonging was a gift as meaningful as the supplies themselves.
Over the following weeks, Maya continued to expand her small garden and take on more jobs in town.
She was no longer desperate or afraid. She had learned to balance her work with moments of rest, ensuring that she had time to nurture her children's growth and happiness.
She discovered joy in small achievements: a new batch of vegetables thriving in the garden, a child learning a new skill, or a neighbor expressing appreciation for her help.
Each success, no matter how minor, reinforced her belief that perseverance and integrity could overcome even the toughest challenges. Maya also began teaching her children the importance of compassion and understanding. She would tell Tobin, Lila, and Asha stories of the sheriff's mercy, of how a single act of kindness had saved their family from despair. She wanted them to understand that helping others, even in small ways, could create lasting change. The children listened intently, absorbing the lessons that would shape their character as they grew. Maya knew that these teachings were as vital as providing food or shelter. They were lessons in humanity, morality, and resilience. One evening, as the family gathered around a small fire, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. She thought about the desperation she had felt, the fear of failure, and the shame of attempting to take the sheriff's horse. She also thought about the mercy and understanding that had changed everything. The firelight danced on the walls of their shelter, illuminating the smiles of her children. For the first time in a long time, Maya felt a profound sense of peace. Brett. She realized that life's hardships, though painful, had taught her valuable lessons and had strengthened her in ways she could not have imagined. Maya also understood the importance of passing on these lessons to others. She began offering advice and help to other struggling families in the town, sharing her experiences and encouraging them to seek honest ways to overcome difficulties.
She explained how courage, honesty, and perseverance could help them navigate challenges, and she reminded them that acts of kindness could ripple through the community in ways they might never see.
Through her efforts, Maya became a source of inspiration, showing others that even in the most difficult circumstances, hope and growth were possible. The sheriff remained a quiet guide in the background, offering support when needed but never imposing. Tense. Maya valued his friendship and mentorship, recognizing that his initial act of mercy had set everything into motion. She understood that true leadership was not only about enforcing rules, but also about recognizing the humanity in every person and providing opportunities for redemption and growth. Sheriff Carter's example had shaped Maya's life, and she carried his lessons forward in her actions every day. As the years passed, Maya's family continued to thrive. The children grew into capable and responsible young people, each carrying the lessons of resilience, compassion, and integrity learned from their mother and the sheriff's example. The town continued to be a supportive community, where neighbors looked out for one another, and small acts of kindness became common practice. Maya often reflected on the incredible journey, from desperation to stability, from fear to hope, and she felt gratitude for the mercy, guidance, and support that had made it all possible. One sunny afternoon, as Maya watched her children play near the thriving garden, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The hardships of the past no longer weighed heavily on her heart. She had faced fear, desperation, and uncertainty, yet she had persevered with honesty, courage, and determination. Her family was safe, fed, and loved. The sheriff's act of mercy had created a turning point that would resonate for the rest of their lives. Maya understood that life's greatest lessons often came from moments of struggle, and that kindness could transform even the most desperate circumstances. Maya knew that she had changed as a person as well. She had grown stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. She had learned to face challenges with courage, to seek help when needed, and to offer help to others whenever possible. She had also learned to value honesty and integrity above all else, understanding that these qualities would guide her through even the most difficult times. Her children, too, had learned these lessons, and Maya took pride in knowing that they would carry them forward into the future. In the quiet moments, Maya often thought about the night she had tried to take the sheriff's horse. Probation had become the catalyst for change, teaching her about mercy, trust, and the power of human kindness. She realized that every challenge she had faced, every hardship endured, had strengthened her and prepared her for the life she now led.
Maya understood that life was a balance of struggle and support, and that true growth often came from learning to navigate both with courage and integrity. And so, Maya's story came full circle. From a desperate widow on the edge of despair to a resilient and respected mother, she had transformed her life through perseverance, honesty, and the kindness of a single person willing to see her humanity.
Her children thrived, the community supported her, and she carried forward the lessons learned from hardship and compassion alike.
Maya's journey was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the power of mercy, and the enduring impact of small acts of kindness that could change a life forever.
In the end, Maya knew that life would always have challenges, storms to weather, and difficulties to overcome.
But she also knew that hope, compassion, and courage would always guide her family through whatever came next. She looked at her children playing and laughing and felt a sense of peace and gratitude she had never known in the days of desperation. Her life was not perfect, but it was full of love, growth, and possibility. A life she had built with her own hands, strengthened by the kindness of another, and guided by her unwavering spirit.